Welcome to TOPICANIA. Remove the blinders.
This video is brought to you by Preciseby.com, a simplified accounting software and an online invoicing platform. Click on the link below to find out more about Preciseby.com. Makate vs. Vodacom. A one-man scuffle with a scathing telecom giant. Introduction.
Vodacom Limited broke into the telecommunications industry in South Africa in 1994. Alan Notcraig Sr. and Telkom South Africa joined forces to form and create a budding mobile operator. Today, it is dominating the telecommunications landscape. As the leading cellular network giant, it is changing the equations of communication and business services in over 30 African countries. They provide network coverage all the way to the iconic Mount Kilimanjaro. In the session, we look at how Kenneth Nkosana Makate engaged in a protracted legal battle with Vodacom over his brainchild, the popular Please Call Me service. Keep listening.
1994. Makate joins Vodacom.
One moment can change your life forever. This statement holds true for Makate, who struck gold more than once in his lifetime. After finishing his matric, Makate knew that he had no tertiary education funds like his fellow silver spooners. With a burning desire to succeed, Makate did not know that one ad from the City Press newspaper would change his life forever. In spite of that, he applied for what would become an opportunity of a lifetime. Months later, Makate struck gold when he aced an interview and became one of the 10 lucky matriculants to win a Vodacom scholarship. He happily joined Vodacom's finance department when he was just 18 and began his training as an accountant.
2000. The birth of the callback idea.
In November 2000, and at the age of 24, he was still a trainee accountant. During that time, Makate was in a long-distance relationship with his girlfriend, Rebecca Makate. To keep the fire burning in his relationship, he came up with an idea. What if his girlfriend could send a free callback request through Vodacom for Makate to call her? He intended to sell the idea to a willing buyer. Armed with this idea and advice from his colleague, Makate approached his superior, Philip Geisler, to give teeth to his brainchild. At that time, Mr. Geisler was the manager and the director of product development at Vodacom. As you may understand, the Please Call Me idea is a fixed, free, text message sending service that uses unstructured supplementary service data technology. In simpler words, you can send a free SMS request for someone to call you back, whether you are a prepaid or contract customer. In South Africa, almost all the network service providers have adopted the Please Call Me tool. What you might find interesting is that most telecommunication companies prefer the Please Call Me service to beep calls. Think of a beep call as an unbilled call, which you make only to hang up before the recipient answers. Service providers hate beep calls because they don't make a single penny from them, and they clog up the call network system. So, Geisler submitted the Please Call Me concept, and the Vodacom executives fell head over heels in love with the idea. They resolved to develop and use the Please Call Me idea. Geisler confirmed that he will facilitate remuneration negotiations for Makate's innovative invention. After that, Philip Geisler and Makate made something more than a gentleman's agreement. They entered into a verbal agreement to the effect that, if the Please Call Me idea picked up steam and took off, Makate would receive 15% of the revenue generated by the Please Call Me product.
2001. Vodacom implements the Please Call Me idea.
On March 15, 2001, Vodacom launched the Please Call Me service. Around 140,000 customers used the Please Call Me service on the first day. Vodacom consumers loved the Please Call Me service and it became a huge commercial success. According to Vodacom's 2001 initial development plan for the Please Call Me service, the company could harvest a whopping $23 million each day. Going forward, the Please Call Me service generated hundreds of millions of rands every day. How did Vodacom develop the Please Call Me concept? You might ask. Vodacom used the USSD platform, carved out the Please Call Me concept with tailored and brief advertisements with the Please Call Me messages. So, how did the mobile giant make money from the Please Call Me? Isn't Vodacom's Please Call Me service free? Well, Vodacom admits that the real money came from real phone calls as a result of the callback messages.
2004, the Please Call Me inventor resigns from Vodacom. Makate resigned from the telecommunications giant in 2004. That same year, he took up the finance manager position at one of the big financial institutions in South Africa, Nedbank. 2007, Makate delivers a letter of demand to Vodacom. In 2007, Makate sent letters demanding the cellular giant to honor the oral agreement with Mr. Geisler. However, Vodacom gave him the cold shoulder. At that point, Makate refused to bury his hopes of receiving a fair share of the Please Call Me proceeds. 2008, Makate institutes a civil lawsuit.
Then, Makate filed a civil lawsuit against the mobile telecom giant at South Gauteng High Court, in Tshwane, in 2008. His monster legal crew sought more than $37.5 million in damages. At Vodacom, it was business as usual. The number of Please Call Me daily requests were rising to unprecedented heights. Customers made over 20 million requests, day after day. In 2009, Alan Not Craig, Vodacom's former chief whip, tried to pull wool over everyone's eyes by claiming that he invented the Please Call Me service.
2013. The beginning of the David versus Goliath scuffle.
During the David versus Goliath trial at the High Court in 2013, Vodacom tried every trick in the book to evade paying Makate proceeds for his invention. They argued that the Please Call Me idea belongs to Vodacom. Their reasoning was that the invention was created within the framework of normal employee duties. Makate trashed that argument, maintaining that the invention fell outside the scope of his employment. He was in the finance department. Makate successfully established that he was the inventor and that he had a contract with Vodacom.
2014. Makate loses the High Court case and Supreme Court petitions.
However, in July 2014, Makate lost the case on technical grounds. The court slapped him with a costs order. Its reasons were that Makate took more than 3 years to lodge his lawsuit at the High Court. Therefore, his claim had expired. On top of that, the court maintained that Mr. Geisler had no authority to bind the company to the oral agreement. After the High Court's brutal jab, Makate encountered a few hurdles along the way. The High Court declined to give him permission to appeal. In December 2014, the Supreme Court of Appeal also rejected his petition. It refused to give him permission to appeal, stating that he was unlikely to succeed.
Thank you to our sponsor, Preciseby.com. Visit www.preciseby.com now to get your free 14-day trial of our simplified online accounting and invoicing solution.
2016. The highest court in the land rules in Makate's favor.
Makate remained resolute. Obviously, he was facing a mounting legal bill and drew widespread public attention. Yet, he didn't falter. His petition to the Constitutional Court was a success. As you may recall, April 2016 was one of Makate's most magical moments. The apex court ruled in Makate's favor, squashing Alan Not Craig's flagrant lies. It credited Makate as the mastermind of the Please Call Me idea, ordered that oral agreement was valid, and bound Vodacom. The court also ordered that Makate and the telecom company were to start negotiating his compensation in the next 30 days after the court order. If a dispute regarding a reasonable compensation arose, Shamil Jesse, Vodacom's CEO, would determine the amount and be the final arbiter.
2016. Compensation negotiations commence.
Makate kicked off the talks by asking for 15% of the accrued Please Call Me service revenues. At that time, the figure stood at about $606 million, although in the last 3-year timescale, the amount was $390 million. Succeeding that, Makate's backers stirred up the hornet's nest by upsetting the negotiation process. These sharks were scared of the beasts that made up his legal team. As a result, Christian Schoeman, who owns the Reigning Men, came out guns blazing for his $139,000 funding that Makate had borrowed to cover legal costs. Sterling Rand, another financial backer, seized the opportunity and made a deal with Vodacom. As you would expect, the Telecom Giant agreed to withhold half of the payment in order to pay Makate's backers. That became the High Court order.
2016. Negotiations reach a dead end.
Vodacom and Makate reached an impasse. Negotiations stalled as Makate applied to the Constitutional Court in November 2016. He sought an explanation of what the court meant by the phrase, reasonable compensation. Things took a different turn. Makate dropped his initial 15% of Please Call Me revenues. He now sought a new form of a share of revenue. In February 2017, the court dismissed his application, and Vodacom confirmed that they were ready to resume negotiation talks.
2017, negotiations resume again.
The network company's financial results in November 2017 showed that it was still engaged in negotiations with Makate. In April 2018, it offered Makate $577,000, which he declined. He approached yet other forums, the Companies and Intellectual Properties Commission, and the Independent Regulatory Board of Auditors. Here, he filed a reckless management and misrepresentation of finances complaint against Vodacom and its heavyweight auditors, PricewaterhouseCoopers. After 2 months, Vodacom tried to strong-arm Makate to accept an offer that they deemed confidential and reasonable. Again, Makate refused to accept Vodacom's June and October offers.
2019. Protesters storm Vodacom headquarters.
On January 18, 2019, Vodacom made an offer of $2.7 million to Makate, which he refused. Makate approached the High Court to review Vodacom's methods in arriving at the $2.7 million offer and the financial records they used to calculate the amount. The court ruled in favor of Makate. Inconvenienced by the decision, Vodacom retaliated and secured permission to appeal the review findings. Makate is widely publicized, and endless court battles helped him garner widespread public sympathy. Moudisse Sergoter put together some troops of protesters under the umbrella of the Please Call Me movement. On the 31st of January, the fuming protesters stormed the network giant's headquarters in Midrand to express their distaste over the dragging call-back war with Makate. Other sympathizers urged Vodacom contract customers to discontinue their patronage with Vodacom.
2022, High Court review. Court orders a larger payment.
In February 2022, the High Court made a decision on the review hearing. It confirmed that Makate should receive 5% of the total Please Call Me service revenue, produced between March 2001 and March 2021. As such, the 18-year determination period was reasonable and achievable. Part of the outcome was that Vodacom was to pay Makate 27% of the revenue generated from the return of calls following the Please Call Me request. The court also asked Vodacom's captain to determine and complete the compensation amount in not more than 4 weeks after the High Court order. To say the least, Vodacom was not happy.
Conclusion.
Vodacom and Makate have been embroiled in a never-ending court battle. Theirs is one of the most expensive wars in South African history. The court battles have exposed some yawning gaps in the South African substantive law. Also, they drew immense criticism from corporate law scholars and some sharp practical legal minds. Makate has gained extensive public attention and public sympathy. It remains unclear if he has received a huge paycheck for his brainchild, which has earned Vodacom billions of rands.
This session was brought to you by Preciseby.com. Your solution to easy and simplified online accounting and invoicing solution.
Click on the link below to find out more about Preciseby.com.